Good evening. Welcome to the Great Lakes Fishing Podcast and Fish Hawk Live. Tonight, we're joined by Captain Bob Hinds from Central Coast Angling in Lake Michigan's Grand Traverse Bay. Captain, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the time.
It's awesome to have you here on this Thursday evening. Before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and your charter.
Okay, I am Captain Bob Hinds. I'm from Central Coast Angling. I was the founder. I've been a captain for Central Coast Angling for about 6 seasons now. I started on the river and transferred to the lakes. I've been fishing Lake Michigan and Grand Traverse Bay for roughly 30 years. My dad started me, and my grandpa stepped away from it for a while to fish on the trout streams. And in 2015, I believe it was, I came back to the lake, got licensed, and I have just built a program. I do a lot of salmon fishing. I do a lot of lake trout jigging. Lake trout jigging is hands down probably my passion. On my free time, I enjoy spending time with my family, boating, fishing. I fish on my days off, as any good charter captain should do. Perch fishing is a big passion of mine. We've really introduced that into our charter program the last year and a half or so. Perch is hands down my favorite meal to eat. I did mention walleye fishing. I take my kids walleye fishing, and I do a few charters, but it's not a hot thing for me, just because we do not have the best walleye fishery here in northern Michigan. A lot of people go down to Erie and Lake St. Clair. So instead of going down there to work, I hang here. My salmon season starts in May. I'm a busy, busy man. I've got an amazing wife that supports me and 3 little girls, and a lot of supportive friends and a great supportive group around me, and I stay busy. I work almost every day on the water. I got this lovely sunburn that's been going on since April. So that's Captain Bob Hinds and Central Coast Angling.
Yeah, if you don't have those raccoon eyes, then you're not really a charter captain.
If your charter captain does not have those raccoon eyes, he's either A, using sunblock, or B, he's not fishing enough. And I don't like how sunblock feels, and I like to fish a lot. So
Tell me a little bit about that transition from the river fishing to going out and fishing on the big water.
Well, it went from finesse to pull hard. Somebody once told me I was river fishing. They're like, "Man, Hinds, you pull really hard on these trout." And I'm like, "Well, they're just 20-inch fish, or you might every once in a while get a good 7-8 pound brown." And I've been noted to blow some big trout off. So, the biggest thing is, I would say I'm kind of I don't suffer. I've not been clinically like you have attention deficit disorder, but I've had a few good friends be like, you can't stick with nothing. Like, you're on to one thing, on to the next. And trout fishing I did for probably 10 years. And then I went to the lake, and this is where I'm at. Like, I live in Traverse City. We have a ton of options. There's stuff that I don't even touch here that I should be touching, but I'm not because I don't have the time. And I just like big fish that pull hard. And since moving to Traverse City, this is where it's at for me.
Yeah, the Grand Traverse Bay, you're located right there. It's one of the most kind of unique pieces of water on Lake Michigan. Tell us a little bit about that body of water that you call home.
Oh, man. Grand Traverse Bay is a mecca. There's endless opportunity here. I don't care if you're a inland lakes fisherman. We have so many inland lakes. We have smallmouth, largemouth, bluegill, perch, pike, muskie, and then you get into the bays, and we still have the same species. There's literally you can do everything here. Like, it's endless. Pick your poison, and if you're not happy there, go out on the big lake, catch steelhead, catch browns. We trolled a brown yesterday. I'm like, wow, yeah, cool. Another one to add to the list. Like, it's a mecca for fishing here. There's nothing like the Great Lakes and Grand Traverse Bay hosts it all. It's beautiful. I love it. It's home for sure.
Yeah, people that don't know the area, that is an area that's really kind of one of the Michigan's biggest vacation destinations. It's a place where people from all over the state and other places go to kind of spend their week off in the summertime. Tell us a little bit about that area and some of the other things that they might encounter other than the great fishing.
Okay, so if you're a man and you're coming here for tourism, okay, Northwest Michigan is beautiful. I've mentioned it. I love it. If you're a man and you're bringing your wife here, okay, gentlemen, men, women love wine, especially moms, any kind of women. They love wine. We have so many wineries here and everything. Like, come fishing. Send your wife and your mother-in-law, or your wife and your mom, I don't care. Send them to the wineries and come out fishing with at least any kind of charter captain here in Northwest Michigan. It's awesome. Like, there's golf courses, there's breweries. We have amazing food. I mean, I'm a little chubby. I enjoy the food a little too much in the winter, but we have, like, I can't say enough about Northern Michigan.
So there's plenty to do if you have somebody in your party that doesn't want to go on the water, plenty to do for them and keep them busy during the day. You talked about a lot of the species that you find in the bay. How are you going after them, and how does the seasonality change in the bay throughout the year?
Well, we definitely suffer from cold water because we're kind of in the Arctic. We're not really in the Arctic, but on cold years, our bay will freeze. You can actually get out there and ice fish. I fish so much that I don't actually ice fish. I go out with buddies and kind of hang out, but you can ice fish. There are charters that are running ice fishing programs around here. When that water on thaws in March sometime, that's when the guys they're going out there targeting their Cisco, their early lake trout, their perch. Perch program's a big one for me. I kick that off right around the first week of March. As soon as I can get the boat out of the launch, go out and find those perch. We're getting on that pre-spawn bite, and that pre-spawn bite will ride all the way out until May, and then I'll have about a week and a half of Cisco casting, lake trout casting, where we're targeting those shallows for those fish. And then I'll kind of jump over and I'll head down south with my boat because I'm on the trailer, and I'll go and just start whipping on salmon down south. And then, as summer progresses, I come back north. And then in the fall, the water starts cooling. We have a seasonal lake trout limit here on Grand Traverse Bay where we can't fish after September 30th. So my season kind of goes into salmon until September 1st. And then I have about 3 weeks of Cisco where we just jig for them. And then I go right back into perch until basically ice up. Last year, I think my final trip was December 23rd. So I almost get 7 full months. So
it sounds like you're a pretty busy guy and you're going after a lot of different things. Tell us a little bit about you're mostly doing jigging when you're fishing inside the bay.
Absolutely. I absolutely love the jig bite. The person that introduced me into jigging was a close personal friend of mine, and he took me out, and I had very little knowledge other than what I'd done with walleye jigging. And from the first fish I hooked, I was just like, this is awesome. And I worked on it. And I only fished with that person one time. He took me out one time, and we've obviously since then fished, and he's fished with me. But I just literally took my Navionics and I obsessed about it in front of my computer. And I just looked at all these reefs in Grand Traverse Bay and all these shallow spots, because the contour in Grand Traverse Bay is it's simply amazing. We have a ton of contour, a ton of place that lake trout can be, and the population's just amazing. So I literally took that and I got on the ground and ran for like a year on my own time, and just spent a whole summer and a half just finding places where trout would live, and just started beating them up and figuring out and put a program together. And finally I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. Like, let's put somebody else other than me on the end of the rod, and let's start whipping some trout. And now it's just my staple for Central Coast angling.
When you're out there jigging those lake trout, what kind of depths are you usually fishing in? What are you throwing? Tell us a little bit about that.
Definitely for the jigging program, I'm focusing in the summertime. I'm focusing from 80 feet to like 110. Our waters will get up to like 70, 72 degrees. And I can't stress this enough. It is hard on the fish in July when you're yanking them out of 150 foot of water. These are our resource, so you have to take care of them. I've went as far as putting ice in the cooler if it's a big fish, cooling them off so we can get that quick grip and grin, put them back in the water. So 80 to 110 in July and August. There's no sense of going out and trying to jig them out of 130, 150 foot of water in April, because the water temperature is coming up. They're on the feed. Go ahead and get yourself up into the shallows, cast those blade baits around from 20 to 60 foot of water, and just learn. I mean, casting and jigging, light tackle, feel the bite, can't complain. Love it.
All right, you've got that trailerable boat. Tell us a little bit about the boat you're running and kind of why you chose that boat and how do you use it to really maximize your success.
So I have two boats. I have the 2018 Robalo, came in 226. It's a bay boat. It's got a 250 Yamaha show on the back of it. It's all island with Humminbird stuff. That was the first boat I bought in 2018, and that boat basically got me into untouchable waters at a good speed, safe, more deck room. That's a great boat. We still utilize it. And then I just upgraded another to the second boat. It's a Skeeter WX 2200 with a Yamaha 350. The reason I went to that boat was for trolling capabilities. It's all remoted in, eye-linked. It's got all the bells and whistles. So for more spacious reasons, when trolling, we obviously run the Skeeter. When I have to jig, I'll run the Robalo. When I have to perch fish, I run the Robalo. So it's kind of nice to have two boats. So each boat has, a reason. It's got a place in my program. It's nice to have two. As far as being on the trailer, I just can't imagine not being on the trailer at this point. I can literally go anywhere, anytime, any want. I can chase these fish, whether it's salmon, whether it's lake trout. If I want to go to Lake Superior and fish, I have a clientele base that want to go up there and fish the big fish. We have a cabin in Grand Marais that, our family owns, and I can literally go anywhere, anytime. So I think that that's kind of, as far as the Michigan charter boat fleet goes, I feel like, the small boat charter boat program is kind of at the pinnacle of it right now. We get, 6 to 7 months. We can do anything we want, anytime we want. And for a working man that has a family that, we have to provide for, I think that's a good choice for me.
Awesome. You just said Lake Superior, and I do want to get to that later, but let's stay kind of where you are for right now. We talked about the jig bite on the bay, but when you get out on the main lake, tell us a little bit about that and what you're doing out on the main lake of Lake Michigan, and what port you're running on, or what ports you typically run out of based on what's going on there.
Absolutely. So I like to kick off my spring trolling program for Kings. I like to kick that off right around the 10th or the 11th of May. I'll start lining up my clients somewhere around the 15th. I start in Whitehall, Michigan. That's north of Muskegon, south of Ludington. I choose that port because I have a good friend that lives there, and I can kind of shack up with him and just kind of hang out. I like the town. I like the area. I think the fishing is great there. I'll run there for about 10 days. Usually we're at the beginning, and the fishery is great there for one. They get really good kings. There's steelhead and there's coho. So you get 3 great species there. At the peak of it, there shouldn't be any reason why you're not hitting double-digit days. Like, everybody has days on the water, but day in, day out, we just spank the fish there. It's really, really nice. It's convenient. I have a slip there. I've been going down there for 2 years now, and it's just an aggressive program that I can fish every single day. Ludington's right around the corner if I want to run up, to a little Sable Point. It's a standard program, high lines. We're running cores. And I did bust out some coppers this year, but the water's cold. So we're focusing on those fish in the top column. This year is a little bit different of a program. At one point we were fishing down deep. And then, right there around the 25th, I like to transfer to the Manitou Islands. I've been fishing the Manitou Islands since 2005 or 2006, I believe it was. And from the very first time I fished there, I fell in love with it. I fished the North Island, the South Island. I can commonly be found out of Leland or Glen Arbor. On occasion, I will go to Northport. Northport is also a great area for perch and smallmouth bass. A lot of my lake trout jigging go out of there. But just for where we're at right now, talking about the big lake game, my entire summer is basically Northport, Leland, and Glen Arbor from May 20th on till August 15th. And then obviously have to start focusing around the pier heads to close out my season those last 15 days.
What's the structure like around those areas, Bob? What are you kind of fishing? What are you targeting in those necks of the woods?
So the beautiful part about the North is we have structure. And when I say structure, we have very steep banks where those fish shove on a southwest wind. It shoves our temp into those banks. And in July, you focus literally like it's 60 foot down to 150. So you get yourself on those banks first thing in the morning. You make 1 or 2 passes, you knock out some fish. By your second pass, it's 8:30 or 8 in the morning, and you head out. And when I mean you head out, you go out and you hit 180 to 220. In July, when that temp goes down to 90 to 100, you just keep yourself over 250 because you have a bank of 150 to 200 and you keep yourself out there, and that's where those fish are at. So it's like a second bank essentially, but it's just a ton of structure. It's super, super fun. There's a ton of fish. I just can't say enough. And when I'm saying, like, we have Platte Bay that is like probably 15 miles away, and they stock the snot out of that thing with coho. So in August, our coho show up. We've got steelhead basically from May all summer long. So if you get bored, just run out to the stem line 20 miles and go whip on a bunch of steelhead. So the structure there is it's endless land of opportunity.
So when you're out in the summer, it's really kind of a mixed bag situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've picked up a few coho. We don't see a lot of coho here in the spring. We have picked up about 3 or 4 up at the islands this year. It's more common in August, when they're kind of staging, they kind of come back. I wish I kind of knew where they went. It's still everybody's like, where are these fish going? But we do have steelhead. We have a lot of kings. I mean, the king fishing right now is probably last year. The king fishing was super hot the last week of May, and we just didn't have that this year. And this last week and a half, it's been double digits. Like we've just been spanking them. And we had this cold front that came through, I think Monday or Tuesday. I ran out there the other night and for a night bite program, just for fun, another charter captain, and we checked it out and see what was going on. And they were still there. For a night bite, you don't always spank them like you do in the morning, but then we went out yesterday morning and our Dipsies were absolutely slapping. I was just like laughing. I'm like, this is going to be the best summer. It's set up so good right now for middle June, and they're always here around the 4th of July, some big fish. And then August, it just gets better. Like it just goes. And I'm like, oh, Dipsies are going to be slapping all summer. I was pumped about it. So.
We talked to Russell Gahagan over on the Wisconsin side, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he kind of said the same thing. He said it's shaping up to be the best year that he remembers for at least in the last 10 years for sure. What do you think is happening that's making this fishery kind of sound off this year, and what's kind of going into this and leading into this?
So I think as a professional standpoint, I don't want to get all political and stuff, but I think finally the lake is exactly balanced where it needs to be. And our lake goes through bait and fish stocking, and we don't know what our natural reproduction is over here on the Michigan side. But I think for what we have out there for bait and for predator in the lake right now, I feel like it is 100% perfectly balanced. We've got a few more kings this year, and I can see that in my bags every day. I can see some smaller fish right now. I can see a lot of 1-year-olds, and I can also see, a lot of, big adult fish. Now, the size of those fish this year, I feel like they're down a little bit from where they were last year, but we also got more stocking. So that's going to replicate smaller fish. The biggest thing I'm seeing right now, and I get really super excited about this, is the age class and alewives. The age class and alewives this year are about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. So it's a really young age class. So that's something to really get excited about. That right there says, I think we're set up really good for the next 3 or 4 years, as long as we don't overstock kind of, and we keep ourselves right, just to stay humble. We don't need to go out there and catch 30, 40 kings. Let's be happy with like 8 to 10 fish that are in that 15 to 22 pound range. I mean, that's what I want to see. So everybody has their own, everybody's like, oh, more and more fish, but I think we're in a great state, and I'm excited about it, what our future holds over here on the west side.
Well, Sarah just dropped in and she says, Dipsies were absolutely slapping.
Sarah. Yeah, she's a fun gal. She's been on my boat 2 times this year. We just spent a whole weekend with the DSG girls, and she was one of them. And she came out this year for the first time in May. She was with me in Whitehall, and she's been with me at the island. And somewhere along the boat, I think my first mate, Quinn, coined the phrase of Dipsies were slapping. I don't think anybody's ever heard that before on the boat except for Quinn and I. And so now somehow she's got me making shirts that slapping Dipsies. And yeah, she's a Dipsy diver fool. Her her husband is a very talented charter captain down there in the southeast corner. And he sent me a Snapchat this week that he had some Dipsies for walleye, and he wants to slap some Dipsies down there on Erie. So we'll see.
It sounds like you guys better trademark that.
My wife does a little Etsy store, and she's been making some shirts for the 4th of July and some kid shirts. And I think Sarah, it sounds like she's going to ship some shirts up here, and we're going to get some hats slapping Dipsies. So maybe I slap Dipsies with Central Coast Angling or something.
There you go. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, what's your program look like? How are you attacking the water column when you're chasing these kings in the summertime?
Oh gosh. So fishing has came miles since, like, obviously Chris, you and I started. I used to just go out there and set lines with Dad, and just wherever you get bit, you get bit. And I had a guy in my boat yesterday. Oh yeah, we used to put a thermometer down there, find that temp. So we have fish hawks. I mean, everybody has a fish hawk now. That's a staple. If you don't have a fish hawk, I don't know what you're doing. Like, seriously, like when I put one on my boat, my rigger bite just exploded. Like, sure, I was getting bit on long lines, on my spoons and stuff, but like the whole program came together with fish hawk. So we don't have to dabble into fish hawk stuff. We love fish hawk. I mean, it's the pinnacle. But having said that, my biggest tactic right now is Airmar technology. And my buddy Dave Maynard introduced me to Airmar technology, and they are the inventors of Chirp. And I put it on my Skeeter, and I'm legit running 28 mile an hour, marking Lakers at 168 foot. I know everybody's like, whoa, wait, what? I can get readings like 400 foot of water going 30 mile an hour. It's stupid. If you don't know what Airmar technologies are, you better get one on your boat. It's a big investment. It's like a downrigger. It's expensive. But get yourself an Airmar. Get it dialed in. RideTech Marine makes a great mount for them. That's my biggest thing right now. I am running until I see pods of fish. Literally running. Oh, they're not where they were yesterday. Let's try them all up. As soon as I see them, bam, baits are going down. After that, it's just temp. Where are the fish? And everybody knows standard procedure. You fish at temp or just above it in low light. So you put out, right now we're still fishing. We have got cores on the boat. The other day I had to put my 5s and 8s and 10s back on the boat. 250 coppers. I've got 350s, 325s, 350s. That goes out, get those 5s and 7s. Get that silly stuff in here right around 8 o'clock. Send it down, deep meat. And when I say deep meat right now, I'm like talking like 60 foot. We're not going deep meat for like 90 foot, like 9 o'clock. So that's my program right now. Run them down, find them, fish at temp. Temp the other day was at like 48 foot, and we were knocking them off at 32 foot, I think, on our riggers. Our Dipsies were slapping somewhere around 75 yesterday morning. So that was our low divers on wire. So run them down, find them. And after that, everything's firing right now. Like your springtime program out on the big lake should be spoons and meat. We've just started picking up. I'm a big meat guy and Oki paddles, Pro Troll paddles, mag spoons. My program is if you're fishing below 45 foot or 50 foot, you put, mag spoons down. If you're fishing anything up higher than that on cores, you put some spoons on. So I have a standard program on my boat that works good for my boat. And free sliders been going off on riggers at like 45. So that means the fish are at like 25, 28. I don't know.
You're not running a huge boat. I mean, you're running this trailerable boat. How many lines are you usually getting out when you're out there trolling?
So I am certified for 4 people, and then I run a mate because I like to run a lot of lines. So that's 6 of us on a boat. Michigan law, you can run 3. So that's 18 lines. Unfortunately, the most I can get on my boat, because I can't get a shoot rigger out that little boat. If I could, I'd have a shoot rigger. So we're running 14 lines, 4 boards aside. We're running 2 sets of riggers and low divers and high divers. So 14 with sliders on a good day if we're fishing deep enough. So 16 baits. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, how do you manage that with clients in the boat? and the mate?
Absolutely love it. It's a ton of fun. So the Robalo on the Cayman has a really nice chill deck up front. So I just put people up there with their cooler, their snacks or whatever, and just be like, take a nap. All 4 of you get up there, take a nap. I don't care what you do, but stay out of the back of the boat. Well, the Robalo is a center console, so it's got that center console. It's a little tight. And so that's why I'm like, let's get another boat. Let's put people, So we've got the Skeeter, and sometimes somebody maybe might hang out at the passenger console, but we put bean bags in. My good buddy Dave or Corey Elder over in New York's like, he's got the same boat, the WX 2200. He's like, Bob, get those bean bags in front of your boat. One, they'll take naps. Two, it's comfortable. People love it. Every adult man loves a beanbag. So I put beanbags on my boat, and these people are just chill. They're having the time of life. I've seen grown men be like, they're crashed out. And honestly, so they're out of the way. And I had a buddy come out the other day, and I'm running my 14 lines, and he's on like a 45-foot tier open. He's like, this is on, like, how do you do this? Easy, you just send it. Like, there's no reason why I can't fish that many lines. Like, there's no law. It's all out there. It's spread out. The only fish that are going to go over your other lines are your rigger fish, and that just means they're hot, so you just pull harder.
Corey is watching, by the way. I saw
Corey!
He's a little bit earlier. He'd come up on the viewers, so I did see him on. When you're running something like that on a rig like that, organization is going to be super key. How do you organize your boat?
So I live right here in Traverse City, Michigan. I wouldn't be a bad person if I didn't support local, so I have to support Big John. So I'm in Big John like every spring and sometimes through the summer, but I try to get this taken care of and like whatever I need, before season. So I'm running their quad trees, and then I'm running ratcheting for my lows and my highs. And then for my riggers, I'm obviously running Big Johns. As far as storage, both boats have an incredible amount of storage. Gosh, I would say they're equally good. The Robalo probably has a little bit of live well space, but that's an afterthought. You got to catch fish first. Paddles go on one side. I'm kind of a paddle nut, so I've got a ton of paddles. Rods go up front, set them up every day, set them down, rod holders, or, I always carry an extra like rod reel combination with me, swap out reels if I have to. But storage, actually, we've kind of got it down. Like, it's like I just had to do a demo on setting up this many lines. That's something I can get. It'll be up on my Facebook page and Instagram page, my YouTube page here shortly, of setting up a big wide spread on a smaller boat. So just if you're out there and you're in a 20-foot boat, if I'm on your boat and you're a 20-foot boat, I better see at least 12 rods out there.
Yeah, let us know when you put that up. We'd love to share that with our people, because it's a question we get all the time about how do you get these lines set up on a smaller boat. So we'd really love to see that. How important is it, do you think, to make sure that boat is organized to kind of the T, to the best you can be? How important is organization to your fishing success?
Organization for me is absolutely everything. I mean, you're hiring me to take you fishing. So one, I better put fish in the boat. If I'm putting fish in the boat, that means that my best paddles are on top. I'm a big fan of, for meat rigs and paddles, I use pool noodles. I've got a whole bin with probably 20, 30 pool noodles and paddles in there. Spoons, Mate Series, literally Moonshine, Warrior, every spoon manufacturer. I've got my mags, I've got my colors together. Like, it's like perfection. Rods, it's literally, that's my side. That's my mate's side. That's port starboard. I'm literally dropping my 10 color in right now, my 250, my 300, my 325 on my starboard side, my port, 9 color, 250, 275, 300. High diver, low diver, you don't unhook anything. Like, my divers are ready to roll. You just put a paddle and the meat on there and you get them out. Like, we are probably putting out 14 lines. I think we timed it the other day. We had it done in probably 13 minutes. So fast. Get them out there. Get them bit.
That's impressive. And Dan Crane actually just asked that question as you were describing it, running the planners, divers, and rigger. What's your routine for setting them all up?
Okay, Dan, I'm glad you asked this. We just covered this on another podcast the other day. So in the springtime, if you're fishing silverfish are shallow in the water column. I do not care about my temp, because I know what my surface temp is coming off my Humminbird, your Garmin, your Lowrance, whatever you're running, Dan. Get your boards out. Get them away from the boat, because even I've had fish bite lead 5 colors out of my hand. I've had them bite 3 colors out of my hand. But get your boards out first thing in the morning or first thing in the evening. Get those bit ASAP. Then get your high divers in, get your low divers in, get your riggers. That is my springtime program. Now, when you get a temp and you got to get down in that temp, it's 180. Get your fish hawk in. That's rule number one. Get that temp. Get that speed on your autopilot set. Get your rigger, get your low diver, get your high diver, and then your shallow boards in. So if you're running a 250 copper, a 300 copper, a 350 copper, stack them that way. So rigger, low diver, high diver, 250 copper, 300 copper, 350.
Very nice. Just got another question, and I like this one too. This is a good question. It's over on Facebook from Jared Baker, and he wants to know, how do you keep your energy up when you're running 2 trips a day for multiple days straight?
I really like what I do. No, Jared, we've worked together. Jared is a good friend of mine, and he's a newer charter, JB Custom Charters. We've done some dual boat trips this year. He caught me sleeping on the bean bags on front of the boat one day. Other than that, there's a lot of rock star. Probably not good for a 38-year-old man, but between the rock stars, the 2-hour power naps from 1 to 3, and then the 3-hour naps at night. I mean, you just go like crazy. We'll get you there. I mean, you can handle it. You catch big fish, so just go.
All right. You talked a little bit about spoons earlier and having everything organized, getting your colors. What are some of your favorite colors for kings when it comes to spoons in your neck of the woods?
Okay, so my neck of the woods, we're Clearwater. We've always been Clearwater up here, so I like a lot of natural. I do not like ugly stuff. My mate Quinn on the boat absolutely loves ugly stuff. I like natural stuff. So my top colors, Bob Hinds' top colors, what's going out every day right now? Psycho Perch from Warrior and a mag. Dancing Anchovy from Moonshine Lures and a mag. Mongolian Beef. Blue Hulk mag from Moonshine. What else is out there? Gosh, that's what's time. I have a spoon I live by. I will throw this out there. I call it Farley spoon. My best friend Ryan, one of my best friend Ryan Farley, brought this little Warrior 4-inch spoon on there. I think it's a steelhead orange, something steel. It's made by Warrior. I call it Farley spoon. This spoon is UV. It's got an orange stripe across it and an orange stripe down one blade. It's like a 3.75 or 4-inch spoon. This is my everyday species spoon. It's caught every species on the Great Lake, including Cisco. Yes, we get them while we're trolling in the summertime. I will put that out on a high line every day of the week. So that's what's on Bob Hinds' spread. Oh, Raptor, Moonshine. How could I forget that? It's been killing it. Also, another great spoon, Zombie Apocalypse from Great Lakes Tackle. That fish took a ton, or that spoon took a ton of fish last year. Another good one, I kind of worked with Tom from Great Lakes Tackle and Outfitting. We made a blue Zombie Apocalypse. I call it the Bob Hinds spoon because I was like, hey, why don't we have this in blue, Tom? So that one actually has been firing like crazy the last week. I don't even know if it's on his website. If not, ask him, tell him you want the Bob Hinds spoon. So that's my program right now. And then as far as divers, Diabolical, Live and Breathe, Diabolical. I don't know if that guy makes a meat rig. I don't know if Mark makes a meat rig that doesn't catch fish. And then Oki Paddles, Pro Troll, Stinger, Michigan Stinger. They don't even make them anymore, but I got them in Pro Troll. There's some like 20-year-old stuff. They've been slapping fish. 10-inch spinnies, 8-inch spinnies from Shane down at Dreamweaver. Those things are killing fish. Confidence paddle. Whatever you have in your confidence paddle, put it out there. At least one fish. If they're slapping Dipsies, you'll get one fish on your confidence paddle right now.
All right, you get out with a lot of different people, and when you're fishing, I would say right now there's a lot of people that are getting into Great Lakes fishing that haven't tried it, and now they're getting into it for a lot of different reasons. What are some things that you think that new anglers to Great Lakes fishing typically overlook that would help them become a better Great Lakes angler?
Buy a fish hawk. If I had to go out there, if I got my tax money and I was like, okay, I can get riggers. My wife's going to let me get riggers. I would, I'll get a few spoons, buy confidence spoons, whatever looks good, looks fishy, buy that, run that program. This is what I go with. If you're in fish, if you're marking fish and you get it in their face and your speed is right and your temp is right, everything's right, you will get bit and catch silver fish. Lake trout, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But find fish, know you're in fish. Rule number 2, other than have a fish hawk, never chase someone else's fish. I've watched a lot of buddies get burnt this year saying, hey, come over to my fish. And then they get over there. Dave did it one night. We're out for fun. My buddy Dave, Sarah and Evan and I were out there slapping fish. And sure enough, here comes Dave to my fish. I'm like, no, go back to yours because he didn't catch any of mine. Don't chase other people's fish. Find your own, mark them, fish hawk, and just don't chase fish and use your confidence spoons. You will catch fish.
All right, the check's in the mail for that.
You got to have a fish hawk. I seriously would not go out there with one right now.
All right, Bob, we've been talking Lake Michigan. We've been talking Grand Traverse Bay, but one of the things that I thought was really interesting from your website and also talking with you before we went on the air tonight is your trips up to Lake Superior. You've alluded to them a few times. Tell me a little bit about what you've got going on over on Lake Superior.
So Lake Superior to me it's like something that I get to do a few times this summer. I wish I could do it a month straight in the summer and probably July or even middle June to middle July. I've always been in love with Gitchigumi, and I like to go up there. Like I mentioned, I love to feel the bite in my hands. I love big fish that pull hard. I love to pull hard on big fish, and lake trout is just, I don't know. I think it's the river fisherman in me still. I had a lot of river fishermen. I have a lot of trout in my background. And when I came to Traverse City, there was lake trout here, but Superior is literally the pinnacle of lake trout closest to Bob Hinds in Central Coast Angling. Well, it just so happens we have a cabin in Grand Marais and, Navionics. I ran with it and I get on Navionics. I'm like, oh, look, there's a reef out there. There's Big Reef, which you can hit from Grand Marais or Munising. So I spent a little time on Big Reef, and then I expanded a little further, and all of a sudden, Bob Hinds is finding reefs out there 45, 50 miles. Before you know it, I'm literally running 50 miles up to get to the Canadian border to catch lake trout on muskie gear. So I get a good clientele base, and when you have a good clientele base, you just don't sell them salmon fishing trips. You don't sell them Cisco fishing trips. You sell them the full package because that's what we are here at Central Coast Angling. And so I've got these clients now that will go up to Superior with me. And I leave, I think, next Friday, little family time. I need a vacation because I work Memorial Day. And so I'm going to go up, have 3 or 4 days with my family. And then I've got my clients coming up, and I get to introduce them to Gitchigumi in massive lake trout and just completely remote, untouched waters. Anybody that kind of, social media and YouTube has evolved, and we've all kind of familiarized ourselves with Standard Rock. I know Travis was on the show last week. Travis is pretty much the man. I would book Travis. I've fished with Travis. I think the world of that guy. He's super fishy dude. And I've talked to Travis about the Grand Marais thing, and he's never been over where I'm at. I've kind of fished over on Standard a couple times. But to me, the volume of 10 to 20 pound fish per 100 fish, talking lake trout, the opportunity is just ridiculous where I go. I've spent a lot of time, about 3 years up there and running around these reefs. And I know exactly where, we call them humpies. These fish are 5 to 7 pound fish. You can't really get out of them. It'll be every cast. So, you think if you've ever been to Canada up to Wawa, I spent some time up there when I was a kid. Every cast, I'm thinking like pike and, just little fish. That's exactly what the humpies are, what I call them. They're on Lake Superior. So I avoid those ones. And the reefs I know have these 10 to 20 pound fish, and there's opportunity. I mean, we've got fish up to 24 or 26 pounds up there. It's the major leagues of fishing in my book. It's the World Cup, the major leagues, the Stanley Cup. It's you wear yourself out for 8 hours throwing the biggest bait you own.
That sounds awesome. So when you're up fishing that bite, you're not trolling that. That's exclusively a jigging bite there as well.
It's more of a casting bite for my boat. I would say it's a jigging, but I won't really let you vertical jig. Anybody that's spent any time throwing blade baits with me here on Grand Traverse Bay, we take the same concept. You basically heave a giant bait. And not everybody is capable of throwing an 8 to 9 ounce bait. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll set you up on a 2 ounce bait. We use big artillery, obviously, like 30-pound braid, 30-pound mono or leader, and you throw it as far as you can. And those bigger fish in Superior hang, we're targeting 70, sometimes 60. I find a lot of smaller fish in 60 feet of water, but 70 to 120 foot of water, sometimes 200 foot of water, and we're fishing structure. And what I'll do is I'll roll through, and if I see them on the sonar, I'll be like, all right, 6 casts. It's a 6 cast rule. Everybody throw off the corner of the boat or whatever I have. If I have 4 people, everybody, 2 casts, that's 8 casts. And you've got 2 casts to hit a fish. And I'm looking for structure, rock on the bottom. And sometimes I mark fish in those cracks because these are rock fish. Your big fish live in, their entire life. These are old fish. So you just move fast, and you move a half mile, quarter mile, sometimes 10 miles at a time. And you just pitch to them, and your bigger fish are cruising in the upper column, because that's where your herring are and the forage for those big fish. So they're lazy. They're just going to cruise. So we've literally, it's not uncommon up there in Gitchagumi, you cast out and you see, you're fighting this 20-pound fish, and there's like a 30-pounder and another 20-pounder rolling right alongside it, waiting for it to puke something to eat, or it doesn't know any better. Like, these fish are untouched fish. So it's like the end of the world. I mean, it's awesome. It's an undescribable experience. And you're usually fishing in complete fog, and you don't see land for 8 hours. So
what's that like for your clients to go out in a spot like that where you don't see anything, and it is like you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, or maybe in a movie where you're just lost out at sea?
It's pretty much exactly that. We leave the dock really early in the morning. On personal time, I've been noted to leave at like 3:45 in the morning. Most times we're rolling out at the Grand Marais at like 4:30. It's an hour and 20-minute ride out there to the first spot. You're going through dense fog. I'm obviously like, in 37-degree water. You revert, you put your gloves on, your hat, you got full Gore-Tex on or whatever. Basically, I see a lot of people nap. It's all good. I'll let you know when the alarm's off. I'll be like, I'm driving, I've got my navigation on, and I'm sitting there, giving them the 9 minutes kind of warning, 3 minutes, okay, 30 seconds, idle it down. There's definitely freighters out there. You have to be careful. We watch the forecast like Nazi, like just crazy. If it's 2 foot or less, we're going. But there's generally fog. And then somewhere in the afternoon on a good day, if it's warm, it'll burn off around 3:30. You'd be like, oh, look, there's an island way over there, like 15 miles. So there's one island out there we get to see every once in a while. It's on the Canadian side. But yeah, there's not much out there. It's pretty remote.
Do you find anything else out there? You're fishing lake trout. Is there other species that you're hooking into while you're out there?
Yeah, absolutely. If you need a break and your arm's getting tired, we'll put on the weighted spoon for you and let you throw it a country mile, and you just keep it up in the column, and you'll see steelhead just shoot in. It's crazy to believe, but there's actually a great steelhead fishery and brown trout fishery up there on Superior. So it's not uncommon in the middle of summer like that to see steelhead come flying in on your spoons. Now, if you hook them up, it's happened like once or twice, but you'll see them. I mean, it's always calm. The water is very eerie dark there is how I would describe it. It's clear like Lake Michigan up here where I live, but because of the slate and the dark rock on bottom, it makes the water look dark. So it's really kind of hard to penetrate.
Bob, it's great having you on tonight and kind of having you introduce us to some of the pieces of water that you're fishing. Is there something that I didn't ask you tonight that you really wanted to talk about?
Yeah, actually there is. I'm a wired up charter captain for sure. I'm 38. I act 12 most days, but you didn't ask me why I do this. You didn't ask me why I do my job and why I'm so in love with my job. And the reason I do it is not because I want to catch fish or anything. It's because I like to make people happy. That's the number one. Like, I haven't coined the phrase for my business or for Central Coast Angling, but bottom line, if I had hashtag, because hashtags are popular because it's 2021, I would say catching fish is fun. And I like to see my clients catch fish and smile. I had a girl this past weekend. I think Christina's like 30. She's a southeastern corner native. She's never caught a king, and she caught like 3 kings. And that girl's smile, like, gosh, like I just like to make people happy and see them smile. And I'm fortunate enough, God's given me a gift to catch fish like crazy and make people happy like crazy. So that's exactly why I do this. And that's probably what, other than the energy drinks and, just the jack of fishing, like I like to see people happy and like to give them something that my everyday world, but it's a once in a lifetime experience for them.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. And the whole beanbag chair thing, I love it. So if people want to find out more about you, or maybe get an opportunity to sit in those bean bags, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Definitely, text me. I'm up at crazy hours. 231-709-0990, 231-709-0990. Feel free to text me anytime. Text me like I'm your mom, your brother, your dad. I don't care. Other than that, there's Facebook, Central Coast Angling. There's Instagram, Central Coast Angling. We have a YouTube. I'm working more on that stuff, being a full-time charter captain. But there's some tutorial stuff in there. I've been getting more into the tutorials, so keep an eye out on that. But you can also always email me, centralcoastangling@gmail.com, and you can also visit my website at www.centralcoastangling.com.
I think it's important to note that you said text you like you're the mom or the dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't text him like he's your girlfriend, guys.
No, you text me however. I had somebody text me tonight. Turned on is my buddy Dakota. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I want to fish with Captain Bob Hinds because I just do a post. Text me. I don't care. And I'm sitting on the toilet drinking White Claw. What's up? And he's like, "I want to fish with you." And then it was my buddy. I didn't have his phone number stored. So no, text me. I really don't care. It's awesome. I love talk fishing.
Awesome. Well, Captain Bob Hinds from Central Coast Angling, we really appreciate you coming on tonight. It was fun to talk to you, and I think the thing that people will take away is that you've got some great energy and you got a lot of good things going on. So if you're in his area or going to be in his area, hook up with him. I think you'll have a good time on the water. Thanks so much for coming on tonight, and thanks to everybody for coming on and asking some questions and watching the show. And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to give the swag package to Dan Crane over on YouTube. And Dan, since you're on YouTube, hop over to Facebook and give us a message with your address, and we'll get that out to you. So thanks to everybody for listening, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will be putting this up on the podcast real soon. Captain Bob Hinds, thanks once again.
Thank you, everybody.